Oh yeah, I'm this room attendant for a Hotel Indigo, and I was helping up with like quality management in the company because a lot of these employees they weren't really meeting the company's standards. They weren't replenishing the the amenities like the coffee and tea packets. They just didn't have their priorities straight. They were wasting too much time dusting the rooms, and they never never had what they needed with them. And they would and I made a recommendation. Recommendation to the manager about some things that I wanted changed about this housekeeping team. I was like, we need to train these people. You know, they always gotta have these tea and coffee packets with them. So, and they also gotta have these milk and water cartons with them. Cause if if you don't get this right, then the guests are gonna complain, and we're gonna lose our reputation, and we're gonna lose money from these dissatisfied customers who want who want to get value for their money. So we gotta give them some other free stuff. And I also made a recommendation to the manager. I was like, some of these beds don't look up to the standards of the company. They look like they were made at home, you know. It was just not made up to the company standards. There was crinkles in on the linens, and it wasn't. And the second linen, the linen under the blanket, wasn't tucked over the blanket. And this is not the company standards of presentation. And also you want the second linen to be the one making contact with the guest's body, so it doesn't get the doona all sweaty from their bodies on it. So we don't gotta wash the doonas. That's a cost to the business. You know, you gotta use water, you gotta use energy, and also you gotta iron it out so it's not all wrinkled. And those are all costs to the business that you don't want. And I noticed that there was a lot of this lack of energy in the morning. These employees were kind of nodding off, you know. They didn't have any excitement for the work, and I was like, we need some hospitality training for these people, because they're going to be the ones interacting with the customers. And if they got this lack of energy, then the customers are going to think that They don't even want to be there, and they don't even want to be talking to them, and they don't even want to be resolving their complaints. Yeah, I took one of these issues up with the manager because I saw a lot of these people I was working with. They were leaving the door propped open with their mops and their buckets, and it was to make it easier for them to enter the rooms, because you need to swipe the key to access the room. And and this reminded me of a story that a story that one of my employees told me. She said that she was cleaning a room and she had the door propped open with a mop, and this homeless person just waltzed in and started unpacking all his stuff. And she was like, what are you doing in here? And he was like, oh, I paid $200 to stay in this room. And she was like, it hasn't been cleaned yet. And he was like, oh, I just paid for it as it is, so you can leave now. And she called the housekeeping supervisor, and she said that there was no one booked for that room, so that guy was just a homeless person, and he could have been a dangerous man. And so if she closed the door while she was cleaning it, then that would have been much better for her safety. So that's why all these employees must keep their doors closed for their safety, so these potentially dangerous people who might not even be a customer for the hotel don't come in, and worst case scenario, they got some weapons on them. They got knives, they got guns, or maybe they got these mental disorders that make them aggressive. And I noticed that a lot of these employees, they don't be vacuuming the area under the minibar. So this area under the minibar, it's quite visible to the customers. And these employees aren't vacuuming there. And what I do is I take the head off of the vacuum so it's more accessible, so it can more easily fit under the area under the minibar. And I notice a lot of these employees don't vacuum under there, and it just collects all this dust. And I was like, we're a 5-star hotel, and these small details are never overlooked in a 5-star hotel. Okay, boys. and this led to an increase in the standard of cleanliness in the hotel. So I really changed these employees through my leadership. And also these employees weren't supplying pens for the rooms, and they were complaining that there wasn't a lot of pens for us to supply on the floors, and so I decided to contact our suppliers and make a purchase on some pens, though unfortunately a lot of these pens get stolen by the customer. But regardless, we need pens in every room and a notepad so they can make notes for the housekeeping team. You know, sometimes the batteries in the remote or the batteries in the scale need to be changed, and that's how they tell the housekeeping team that these batteries need to be changed, so they can contact this supervisor or the manager, and they can supply them with some batteries to replace in the remote, because that's pretty important, you know. Through the TV they can access like entertainment, like TV channels and their streaming services. And our TVs also let them access like their registration details, you know, how long they're staying, when they should check out. They can access these details from the TV, so that's pretty cool. And how we allow them to stream on the TV is through Chromecast. So they just connect their phones through Chromecast and they can stream their movies and shows off of their phone. So that's pretty cool. And I made some recommendations to the manager on how to cut some costs on this housekeeping team. I was like, these employees that aren't meeting the productivity or the quality expectations of the company, you could give them less shifts and less hours to decrease their pay, because in this company we reward performance, and so these employees who are performing well, we might give them either more hours or more pay, or we might give them the option of working on Saturday and Sunday and public holidays, where the penalty rates mean that they get more money per hour. We have a system that rewards performance. And so this led to an increase in year-on-year revenue for the company because of us cutting costs on these less productive employees, giving them 2 shifts, 9 hours per week because they weren't performing up to the company's expectations. And like especially on these low peak, especially during these low peak times of the year, we don't need these less productive employees working 20 hours on 4 shifts. And I also saw another issue with the housekeeping team when they saw one of these rips on the linens. They just use them anyway, you know. And what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to rip the linen and then isolate it so it doesn't recirculate with the good linens, because then we can receive a credit from our suppliers. We say this linen was ripped when we got it and it doesn't meet our expectations. And so what they do is they give us a credit on the towels. So we get the money that we spent on renting it, we get it back. And we just say that it came like that and that it's unacceptable, and so we get our money back. And that's one way of cutting costs to the business and ensuring it's profitable. And I also train these employees on how they shouldn't leave the trolley out in the hallway, because the supervisors don't have time to be pushing the trolley into the pantry. If they do that, then they're gonna go overtime. If they do that, they only got 6 minutes to check the clean rooms, and they don't have time to be putting trolleys in the pantry. So really, this housekeeping team needs to pick it up and put the trolley in the pantry once they're done with it, like 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, you can safely assume that no one else needs the trolley, and just stick it in the pantry. And I also one of these I was informed by like the housekeeping manager that one of their employees was emptying the trash, and they saw all these empty cans in the trash can. And I was like, what? Why didn't you train them on putting the cans in the recycling bin so we can make 10 cents per can? We can make like $500 a week by recycling, you know. And we can't be throwing these cans in in the trash, and that's a cost to the business. And she told me that she was gonna make sure these employees were trained on recycling the cans so we remain profitable. And there was also this issue where the employees were double stuffing the pillows, and what this is they're just putting a clean pillowcase over the dirty pillowcase that the previous customer used. And this is really unsanitary and just not the company standards. So I trained these employees. I was like, there needs to be one pillow protector and one pillowcase, and the pillow protector ensures that no contact was made on the pillow itself, because if the pillow needs to get washed, then that's just an extra cost to the business, water, energy. And the pillow gets wrinkled in the wash, and that's not a good look. That's not a good look for the pillow. So if each pillow is always in a pillow protector, and that pillow protector is protected by a pillowcase, then we're actually going to be reducing costs to the business. Not having to wash these pillows, not having to iron them, all that stuff. So I try to explain it to these employees, but some of them still be double stuffing these pillows. And I was like, I'm going to start handing out some consequences to anyone who be stuffing the pillows like this. And I'd honestly rather that there was one clean pillowcase than one dirty and one clean, because it's just more sanitary for our valuable customers, And I also realized that some of these employees weren't trained on what to do with these room service dishes. What they're supposed to do is take all the room service dishes and put them in the pantry for the food and beverage attendant to grab from the pantry and take it down to the restaurant to get washed up. And yeah, some of these employees weren't trained. They were just leaving the dishes in the room, and they were washing the dishes, and I was like, what are you doing? Don't wash room service dishes. Take it to the pantry, and room service will take it down to the restaurant and get it washed. You wash room service dishes, you're wasting time. Just wash the glasses and the teacups that are meant to be in the room, and don't be washing these room service dishes. That's a waste of time. You're meant to be in this room for 25 minutes, and y'all are going overtime because you're washing these room service dishes that aren't even meant to be in there. And they were also wasting time putting these striped towels in lost property stand when it's meant to go with the dirty laundry. Like, this is just eating into your time. Just throw the striped towels in the dirty laundry. That's the pool towels. That's how we differentiate the pool towels from the hotel room towels. The pool towels got these stripes on them. And also, these employees, they don't want to replace the toilet tissue. They think that half a roll of toilet tissue is good enough. And I get that throwing out half a roll of toilet tissue is a cost to the business. It means that we have to purchase twice as much toilet paper. And I get that that's a cost to the business, but some of these customers will complain if there's only half a roll. It's like evidence that the roll was used by someone else, you know? And they don't really want any traces of the previous customer. And so that's why we replace the roll even when it's half full. Make sure these customers are satisfied. And also, what's really a time waster in this company is like refilling the soap containers. But sometimes we want to like cut costs by buying these big containers of soap rather than just the little mini containers. And yeah, it cuts costs to the business, but the problem is that it takes so much time to dispense the soap from the big container into the little container. You gotta like push down on the thing and fill up the mini soap dispenser. And even though you don't have to fill it up all the way, it still takes a lot of time, and these employees are only meant to be in each room for 25 minutes. And I feel like we're not making it easy by making them use these big ones. So I decided to purchase a box of soap. You know, purchase 16 boxes of soap and put one on each floor. So rather than doing it the hard way, they can just immediately replace the soap container. And yeah, the soap we have to throw out is a cost to the business, but a lot of these customers are complaining that their soap was half empty. And I think it'd be really convenient for the employees if they could just swap out the container rather than having to push the soap dispenser multiple times until it's full. I just feel like this would cut costs on housekeeping, where we have to pay them to dispense soap into the soap container for like 5 whole minutes when it should be done in like 10 seconds. So this would cut costs on housekeeping wages, and also increase customer satisfaction and the available amenities. So this would overall be very beneficial for the company. And if we use all these strategies, then Hotel Indigo could be the biggest thing in Brisbane City.